John Wick, a name synonymous with fear and respect in the underworld. But behind the steely gaze and the deadly precision of the Baba Yaga lies a man driven by a whirlwind of emotions and motivations. Today we unravel the complex psyche of the Baba Yaga. Welcome to the psychology of John Wick. What makes him tick? Revenge. It's a powerful, all-consuming force. For John Wick, revenge is not just a reaction, it's a mission. The psychological implications are profound. Revenge transforms purpose into action, giving John a reason to unleash his skills. But it also traps him in a cycle of violence, a cycle he knows all too well. Every calculated move, every shot fired, is driven by this singular goal. But what toll does this take on the man beneath the assassin? Revenge might bring momentary satisfaction, but it also deepens the wounds, perpetuating his isolation. The relentless pursuit of vengeance has a way of corroding the soul, making it difficult to distinguish the man from the myth. In the chaotic world of assassins, John Wick stands out with his unyielding code of ethics. This code is his compass, guiding him through a moral quagmire. He respects the rules of the underworld, honoring deals and showing respect even to his enemies. This strict adherence to a personal code is fascinating. It's a blend of honor among thieves and a personal attempt to maintain some semblance of order in his life. It's this very code that makes him respected and feared. But it's also a double-edged sword, often leading him into further conflict. John's code of ethics is not just about survival. It's about maintaining his identity in a world that constantly threatens to strip it away. John's code demands respect for certain boundaries. He will not harm the innocent, and he operates with a level of professionalism that sets him apart from other killers. This code, while noble, often places him in direct opposition to those who would exploit it. It's a tightrope walk, balancing morality with the demands of his lethal profession. Isolation is both a choice and a consequence for John Wick. His life of violence creates a barrier, pushing him away from genuine human connections. Yet it's in these rare moments of connection that we see glimpses of the man behind the myth. Characters like Winston, Karen, and Sophia offer brief respites from his solitary existence. These relationships are complex, built on mutual respect and shared history. They show us that even the deadliest assassin yearns for connection, for loyalty, and trust, in a world where such things are rare commodities. Winston, the enigmatic manager of the Continental, is one such connection. Their relationship is built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared history. Winston serves as both mentor and friend, offering John guidance in a world where betrayal is common. Karen, the Continental's loyal concierge, represents another bond, one of unwavering support and understanding. Sophia, a fellow assassin with her own code of ethics, reflects John's struggle to balance a life of violence with personal loyalty. Their interactions are charged with tension and respect, showcasing a deep, if strained, connection forged in the fires of their shared pasts. John Wick's survival instincts are unparalleled. His ability to adapt, to use his environment, and to stay one step ahead of his enemies is not just about physical prowess. It's a mental game, a constant state of alertness and strategy. His training and experience have honed these instincts to perfection. But it's more than just survival. It's about maintaining control in a world where control is an illusion. John's meticulous planning and quick thinking are as much a psychological defense as they are a physical one. Every encounter, every fight, is a testament to his ability to think several steps ahead. John's strategic mind is always at work, assessing threats and devising countermeasures. This constant state of readiness is both a strength and a burden, keeping him alive, but never allowing him to truly rest. At the heart of John Wick's journey is a quest for redemption. He is a man burdened by his past, seeking a way to reconcile with the life he has led. This search for redemption is what humanizes him, making us empathize with his struggles despite his violent ways. John's actions often reflect this inner turmoil, a desire to atone, to find peace. But redemption is elusive, and every step towards it seems to lead him deeper into the shadows he's trying to escape. His quest for redemption is a complex dance, navigating the thin line between justice and vengeance. John's search for redemption is not just about making amends. It's about finding a sense of purpose beyond the violence. These moments of introspection reveal a man deeply aware of his flaws, struggling to find a path that offers more than just survival. John Wick is more than an action hero. He is a complex tapestry of revenge, honor, and redemption. His story resonates because it mirrors the universal struggle between our darker impulses and our search for meaning and peace. So, what makes John Wick tick? It's the same forces that drive us all, the search for purpose and the hope for redemption. As you reflect on John Wick's journey, ask yourself, what drives you? What are you willing to fight for? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into your favorite characters. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious,